All right. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of coffee Q&A. If you're just joining for the first time, we do this live stream about coffee and anything related to coffee, most Monday through Fridays Eastern. So how's it going? How was your weekend? Hope it was a good one. I had a nice weekend. It was Easter Sunday yesterday. And interestingly enough, the Pope Francis has passed away. I think he passed away yesterday on Easter Sunday. So the Holy Father is no longer, and now they're going to have to do the conclave and find a new Pope. So interesting times. So how's it going? Oh, we're still doing this stuttery thing, aren't we? Oh my gosh. I don't understand this. My apologies. I restarted the machine and it's brand new. There is no rhyme or reason. All right, we're going to go here and we're going to talk about today's topic. Today, we're going to be making cherry blossom lattes, and we're going to be making it from cherry blossoms themselves. So this time of year, April or so, is cherry blossom season. A lot of places start in March, like the true good morning to you, Mako, Kent, and good afternoon, Kent. And so in many parts of the world, the cherry blossoms start to come out in March and April. And here where I live, it's rather late in the season. Like a lot of places came out in March, like the DC ones came out in March. But up here, it's a little bit later. So now they're starting to, they came out a few days ago, and now they're in full bloom. So probably have about a week. Mom, good morning. Peter, hello. How are you? So these are some cherry blossoms that I picked just a little while ago. And they are nice and fresh. And you can see some of the petals are falling off. If you've gone to Starbucks or something like that, you've probably seen, cherry blossoms or something like that. You'll probably see them on the menu. So we're going to make it today with it. And it's actually quite a simple process. We're going to take the blossoms and we're going to take the petals. We're going to take the blossoms and the petals, and we're basically just going to pick them and put them into here, trying to keep as much of the green matter out of it. The green matter, if we let it run a little bit longer, can become a little bit, a little bit bitter. So we want to stay away from the bitterness. Now, as you may know already, I'm really into. You could easily go out and buy cherry blossom syrup from the store. Or your distributor if you're a coffee shop operator. There are a lot of companies that Monin and all these other companies. They make these. They'll make this syrup for you, so you don't have to. And it's typically artificially flavored or whatever, which is fine. There's nothing. I don't have anything against artificial flavoring. When I learned about them many years ago, and I was manufacturing syrups, it kind of changed my perspective on it. Meaning that when you look at, I was touring McCormick's innovation labs here in Baltimore, and the guys were showing me how they do some of their design work, and they were like, okay, so we take a gas chromatograph or a substance chromatograph, and these are machines where you can take a substance and put it into the machine, and it will read the organic and chemical compounds of the actual product. And I was like, oh wow, that's wild. And so they would then have a graph. It's essentially a graph of the product chemically. And then to make the syrups, you would actually just pick and choose the different chemical components of that, let's say that fruit, and synthesize it that way. And it's like, oh, it's just the chemical components. Now, let's say there are let's say in one flavor, let's say there are 30 different components. Of those 30, maybe 12 of them are minuscule in comparison to the rest. Now, it's very difficult and costly to use all of them in those little teeny tiny quantities because you have to buy the actual chemical individually. And in order to make these artificial flavors, what they do is they actually kind of pick and choose between what they can get, what they can afford, and what makes sense. And then they synthesize the flavors, leaving some of those components out, and then determining, okay, is this the flavor? Is this are we achieving the flavor we want even without those components? And if they do, then that's great. If they don't, then they might have to add it back in. So it's a really interesting process. And, it reminded me that, okay, even in nature, these are all chemical components, it's not just some kind of like magic thing happening. I mean, it's magic that it is. And look at this. We're so pretty, this blossoms, right? Now, it's really kind of up to you. We could break it down into a recipe and like have so many grams of flowers and, to make your syrups, but you don't have to. And Naomi's asking, if cherry blossoms are edible? I think so. I mean, well, yes, they have to be edible because we are going to use the essence of this and not kill ourselves. So it should be perfectly. Actually, a lot of the flowers are edible. But don't take my word on it. You want to do your own reading about it, about other flowers. And you're going to see today, well, who knows? If they're not edible, then we're going to find out the hard way. But this should be perfect. This is actually fun. And I don't know why I'm even entertaining those kind of morbid thoughts. Okay, so I'm just trying to get as much of the green matter out of the mix, right? So that like these green pieces here, we just want to get. I just don't want to have. I want to have as little of those as possible, and just the petals. Now, how much petals you should use is kind of like up to you. Like I said, we could develop a mount. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe what we'll do is we'll scale this out and see. We'll make notes on this. Okay, so we will. I just grabbed a bunch of the blossoms from the tree, cut them. I made some cuttings, and that's what I'm doing now. So I'm just getting all of this off here. Powerplant says, personally not a huge fan of floral flavor, but I can see the appeal. To be honest with you, I've actually not really had cherry blossom lattes before. I just thought that, it's a pretty time of year. I wasn't really, my original thought was to see if we could do it outside, do this episode outside under the cherry blossom trees. But it's a little bit chilly for me. And I was like, I don't feel like being chilly. Plus it's not so beautiful outside. It's not so sunny. So, okay, so we've got our cherry blossoms. Great. Now, let's see how much cherry blossoms we actually have. Tear that out. Busa is with us. What's going on, Busa? How are you? Powerplant says, oleander, rhododendron, bougainvillea are commonly planted for decoration, but are quite toxic. Okay, we will not be making bougainvillea lattes anytime soon. Okay, so let's put these in here, these cherry blossoms. We have 15 grams of cherry blossoms. So let's put those back in here. We're going to add those later. And I guess, so we have 15, let me write this down, 15 grams. 15.2 grams of cherry blossoms. Now we're going to make a basic simple syrup, right? The simple syrup is fairly simple. Karen says, oh, just finished putting a shot of peaberry from Lao. Oh, nice. I wasn't aware that Lao produced coffee, but it's pretty good. Medium dark roast. Nice. Paige says, good morning. Good morning to you, Paige. Now, I've got some water boiling over here. Sorry for the jittery video. I won't keep myself on the screen very long so that it doesn't look so bad. Let's go back to it now. And we're going to have our we're going to make syrup. We need some syrup. I've got the regular pure cane sugar, granulated sugar. So simple syrup is relatively simple. You just basically use equal amounts of water. So let's do 300 grams. Oh, nice. That was quite easy. I feel very professional. Now with 300 grams, and what we're going to do is we're going to add an equivalent amount of water. So we're going to make a total volume of 600 grams. And I want to pour it so that we get nice saturation of it all. And maybe just a little bit first. And then we're going to whisk and we're going to stir. Now, I did boil the water, and you don't necessarily, actually, you don't need, I've said this before, you don't need to boil your water. It's a bit, I think boiling the water can be a little bit affected, right? Like, it's not necessary. You can do it totally cold because sugar is completely hygroscopic. It will completely dissolve in water. But we'll do a scientific here. Okay, so 600, oops, a little bit more. So we've got equivalent amounts of coffee, of water and sugar. Now, what is the benefit of, you read recipes online and people are like, oh, you want to boil it so it pasteurizes. And I guess that could be it. But, it's an environment that's relatively non-conducive to bacteria initially. So I don't necessarily worry about that. What is nice about heating it is that it melts faster, right? It speeds up the melting. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. And what it's also going to do for us, it's going to we're going to take the blossoms. Just going to put the blossoms in. Just put the blossoms in. 15 grams of blossoms, which is probably way too much, but I figured we'd hit it heavy so that we could more readily get extraction out of the flavor out of the blossoms. So pretty to have like all these petals just kind of sitting there. Now there it is. We've got it all in there, and I'm just going to clear this out. Okay. And so basically, here's the thing. So if you want to make a syrup of any kind, this will generally do it. Like, this is it. This is the base. This is like syrup making 101. You take whatever ingredient you want to make a syrup out of, and you soak it and infuse it into your syrup, simple syrup. This is kind of, if we're starting out to make something, we want to experiment with a drink or something, this is basically where we start. We just start out and try it. Paige says, absolutely love bougainvillea, but they're hard to maintain in my growing zone. Oh, is it too, it's too cold, right? It's too cold in Carolinas for that. Yeah, I was just thinking about, in bougainvillea, we see a lot of bougainvillea in Hawaii, but I don't think I see much here in Maryland. Power Plant says, when I think of floral flavor, is usually rosewater and Persian. Yes. I've always been a little bit wigged out. Like, I find it to be a curious thing that I don't know if I enjoy it. I think it's kind of strange. But, sometimes there's this one drink. There's a drink that they make that does have rosewater, and I do like that. But it's been a long time since I can't remember the name of it offhand. Peter says, I'm watching multiple live streams. Nice. What else do you want? Who else is live tonight, and what are the other topics about? Power Plant says, my family has a trellis that is crawling with those vines in full bloom. Oh, nice. Nice. In Japan or somewhere else? Now he says, any floral flavor has to be toned way down for me to enjoy it. Yes. And this is the thing. Like, we're using 15 grams to 600 grams of simple syrup. And I don't know the ratio. I'm just kind of like, we're just flying with it. We're just kind of going with what we have. And now we've got it there for a couple minutes, right? So let's have a taste and see if there's any kind of flavor that has been imparted. Now, when you look at syrups like of this cherry blossom syrup, you're going to notice they're colored. So you can add a colorant to it to make it pink. Like, one of the things that I saw they were talking about is using a little bit of hibiscus flowers to add a taint to it. If you ever work with hibiscus, it really can make the liquid really dark. But just maybe 1 or 2 petals would probably give you a little bit of pink tint. Wow. Already we've got there's actually already a nice cherry blossom-esque flavor to it. So maybe just a couple more moments of steeping. So in many respects, it's like making a syrup tea, right? You're just like, you take the tea, you steep it, or It's like making it clever, or Hario. What's the Hario switch? It's like making a Hario switch, right? Powerplant says the only floral that I like is jasmine. So good, relaxing when it's in iced jasmine tea. Oh yes, yes, absolutely. Never says, "Oh, you're correct. I forgot about the jasmine. The jasmine green tea is quite nice." Actually, I just gave some to my cousin yesterday. Paige says, "Yeah, can't plant in the ground. It would be an annual 07. It would be an annual on 7B or 8A. Oh, huh. I think I live in 7B. Is that right? Okay. Ken says I make elderflower soup every summer and give to. Oh, nice. I don't think I've had much with elderflowers. I have to give that a try. And Powerplant says elderflower is nice as well, but in America it's kind of rare. Yeah, see, that's why I'm not too familiar with it. It's more common in Europe. Gotcha. And Paige asks, making sakura. Yes, sakura is the name for the Japanese in Japanese for the cherry blossoms, which we're doing. And Powerplant also loves the Jamaica Fresca, which is made. Jamaica is the name for hibiscus in Spanish, and definitely. But for me, the Jamaica Fresca is nice, but I'm not a big fan because it's it's very bright, and I'm just like, ooh. I just don't find it. I don't gravitate toward it as much as, let's say, like the watermelon Fresca, or let's say horchata. Like when I'm in Mexico, we go to this one taco joint that makes beautiful tacos al pastor, the best I've ever had. A place called El Vilcito on Universidad in Mexico City, and we'll get horchata with our tacos. And man, the horchata is so delicious, and it's so cold, like it's ice. It's like burning cold. You're like, oh, this is so delicious. So yeah, patience. I am probably I think I looked at my specific location, and I thought it was 7B. But so you're saying that bougainvillea will grow better in my region rather than yours, and you're more southern than I am. I don't know. I'm not I'm by no means even a novice in gardening, so I'm surprised. I'm just surprised. That's all. I'm just surprised. Peter says, I'm watching some Travel Channel and was watching some Ghost Parent. Oh, nice. Gotcha. Okay, so let's have a look here. I think this is going to be good. I think we've got good infusion now. You don't really need to go long with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take empty out this. We're going to strain it. We're going to put it in this bowl. We've got our strainer. And we're going to strain it out. Now, when it comes to syrups, you look at this, you're like, oh, it's probably kind of disappointing, right? Because look at it. It just looks like simple syrup, but really, we should have a nice flavor in it. Oh, yeah. Wow. Actually, it's that sakura flavor is a little bit intense now. Maybe we should have reduced the exposure time. So, since Starbucks and them have been doing these sakura lattes, and I don't know if they're actually doing these cherry blossom lattes where I live. I haven't been to a Starbucks in quite a while since we went to the one at the Target, and I just see this online, and so I was like, oh, let's make some. So let's make some and see what we get. Oh, they need to be more subtropic to tropic. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay, 9 or more. Okay, understood. Okay, so let's go to the espresso machine. Here's our espresso machine. You guys all know this one, so let us make a shot and make sure that we're both ready. As always, I haven't touched this since Friday. Actually, I didn't clean it until this morning because I was like, after Friday, I was like, I'm out of here. Just went somewhere else and had the weekend. So, as always, a first shot, at least a test to see how it's going. Looks a bit loose. I don't know if you can see that very well. Looks okay. Looks okay. Looks okay. Paige says, I took over the second one, and I think it's officially dead after this past winter when I forgot. Oh, no, that's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, that's the worst. 10 years old already. Oh. So, okay, so crema-wise, not too bad looking. I think it went a little bit long, but let's have a taste. It's a bit astringent. Honestly, I don't think I put enough coffee in it. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Oh, and maybe this time what we'll do is we will take our scale, and I'm going to get rid of the coffee. I mean, the puck came out, and there's definitely some residual oil, so we'll scale it and see how much coffee we really have going on here. So in case you may have heard or have any interest, this week is the week of the Specialty Coffee Association's annual expo. It's going to be held in Houston, Texas this year. I'm actually heading there on Thursday. Show starts on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Normally I go earlier, but this year I was like, nothing to be gained by going earlier. Okay, so there we are. We've teared it out. And now let's go to the... So 582 grams is the weight of that. Okay, so I put a good amount of coffee in the basket. Relatively even distribute or even fall into it this time. So don't really have to do too much. Now there's a little bit extra. I'm going to get rid of a little bit of that. Right, just like that. Then we're going to level it out. Make sure it's nice and level all the way around. Give it a little twist and nice. Okay, so let's go back here. Scale it out. How much? Ah, come on now. 20.6 grams. Okay, close enough to 21. We'll see how that turns out. A little bit of flushing. I feel like it's coming out a little bit on the fast side. To me, that looks fast. It's wavering now, so we're not getting the nicer shots we had last week. Right, like the crema looks a bit thin on this shot. So it looks nice and even toned. Actually, that's kind of pretty now, but it looked kind of thin when it was coming out. Let's see. Let's see how it tastes. You know what? I don't like it. I think we need more. Meaning, I think we need more coffee. I think 21 is a little bit light. Let's look at our puck here. Our puck. Good. You can see that it's a decent. It's a little bit looser. And this one ran a little bit long. You can see it ran a little bit long because why? There's all that oils, residual oils are there. Not good, not good. That's not a nice, pleasant thing. Okay, so let us go back here. Oops. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Yep. There's a little switch inside the machine that will deactivate because there's a weighted switch that once the the reservoir is empty, it will stop the machine from operating. Nice little safety feature. Okay, I think that has reset it. There we go, nice. Okay, let's let that drip out. I always keep a stubby-nosed, what do you call it? A stubby-nosed screwdriver with all my espresso machines, because this is what we use to, like, you know, to take off the dispersion screens and such. Powerplant says, will you live stream during your weekend? You know, I will try to do some live streaming from the weekend while we are at the trade show. It's good. It might be a little bit difficult. I'll try to do a little bit, but it won't be. I don't know when that's going to happen. Meaning that I don't. But so, like for example, our start times here at 10 a.m. So I plan to do live streams through the week. But Friday morning, the show doesn't start till 10. So I don't have to look at I have to figure out what I'm going to do. Like I may be at breakfast or at the show. I'll probably be at the conventions because in Houston it's 9:00 when we normally start. So we'll have something. I just don't know exactly what yet. Right. But some of that will be impacted. I mean, like there'll be some limitation, meaning that I like if you've seen the videos from the last couple of years, I'm usually shooting videos for the channel about the products that we see on the show floor. So there'll be some. I'll do some of that. But at some point, I'll try to do a live stream from the show floor itself. I just don't know exactly when or what time that's going to be. Very curious to see it all. Yeah, it's not terrible. Again, I'm just about to tell you, it's not terribly exciting. But I've been there for the last 20 plus years. So yeah, to me, it's not terribly exciting. I guess. So yeah, never mind. Don't listen to what I have to say. Marcus says, is this expo for people in the industry or can normies attend too? Here's the key with the SCA. As long as you can pay, they'll accept you. So if you're willing to spend the $250 it'll cost you to get a ticket, then you're welcome to come. And the number of enthusiasts who have been coming to the show over the years has dramatically increased. Now, if I compare this to, let's say, the PCA show, the Premium Cigar Association show, which is a trade-only show, a lot of times, the trade shows, trade shows are really geared. The people that vend at trade shows want to have good buyers. They want buyers. So at some trade shows, they really discourage enthusiasts from joining, mainly because, an enthusiast is there because they're enthusiasts, which is a great thing. But it's mostly more of a B2B show where, of course, if you're an enthusiast, you're going to buy one grinder. Whereas the vendors want someone that's going to come buy 10 grinders or more, right? So but honestly, at the PCA show, I hear people grumble about like if they're enthusiasts there. But at the especially coffee trade show, I've not really heard any vendors like talk about that. Although I can only imagine that, but if you want to come down and buy a ticket, they will sell it to you, and you'll have access now to everything that we do. And you can come to the different cuppings that are there and try different coffees that you may not have ever seen before. So, depending on your perspective, it could be worth your while. Now, if you come down, the hotel rates are wildly expensive, like especially if you want to stay right by it's at the Brown Convention Center in Houston. If you want to stay right there by the convention center, there's still plenty of rooms available. I was just looking I just booked my ticket yesterday, or booked everything yesterday. So I mean, I'm I'm really behind the curve. But and I'm also okay. So, but it's wildly expensive right now. Like if you like, I have a I have a heavy discount with the Hilton chain, and my discounted rate for hotels immediately around the convention center were like $350. So I imagine they're probably like 450 to 500 a night. But I don't like. I mean, it's nice to stay close, but then I kind of like to stay away and then go to places because I've been to Houston before. I enjoy Houston, so I don't necessarily have to hang out at the show. So I'm staying actually closer to the medical center, which is about a 15-minute drive by car. So I rented a car and I got a hotel that was under $100, which I always like to find. If I'm traveling by myself, I'd prefer to have as cheap as possible. So $75 a night is a great deal at a DoubleTree. I was like, okay, that works for me. Plus, I get cookies. Power Plant says too many people just show the spokespeople shilling, and I mean I'm guilty of that. And really that's all. If you're there, like let's say my videos from last year. I'm walking around the trade show and I'm like seeing what I show in the channel on my videos are the items that I think are interesting or I'm curious to learn more about. And I'm not really. There's so much more that I'm unable to shoot. Where it would just take a lot longer. Like for example, 2 years ago, I did a video about, was it 2 years ago? Maybe it was last year. Who knows when it was? Well, one of the years, I did a pretty lengthy video about Eversys, the tour of the Eversys systems, partially because I've used them and I like them, and also because one of my clients was thinking about buying one, and so we were trying to think about what would be an ideal espresso machine for their operations. So I wanted to do it. I wanted to have the guys give me a more in-depth tour of the equipment so that, it'd be easier for them to see. So they wouldn't have to go to their showroom up in New York or wherever it was. So that was a big reason behind that one. And then some of them I just kind of like are curious about or like for example, the cold brew system that Hyo, the Korean guy from Dallas. Like he's such an interesting dude, but I think it's such an interesting, the vac brew. It's called the vac brew. That's one of my favorite items from last year. And I was like, oh, excellent. So I'll probably go visit with him again and see what he has to. I don't think he has anything new, but I think it'll be interesting. But I totally hear you that, but in the situation that we're in, there's not much. I don't know if anyone can really offer greater insight than whatever the hawker has to say at the show, because it's more basic information rather than in-depth study, right? Yeah, Keone says I didn't. And this is to me the irritating thing. Like the SCA, I think for a trade organization, a trade show charges wild amounts of money. I can go to the National Association of Broadcasters show, the NAB, that happened a couple weekends ago. A much larger trade show takes up a significant portion of the Las Vegas Convention Center. If you wanted to go to that show, you get show passes, just show passes. And that's, I think to me, that's the most interesting part is the show passes. You get the show passes for free. A lot of trade shows, you can get show passes for free. I went to Wood Pro Expo, free passes. Because the organizations tend to make money off of, the vendor fees and the other sessions that are happening, whereas the SCA makes money every way they possibly can. I mean, they're paying their ED, their executive director, some, $500,000 a year in salaries, plus all of their staff, and they put them up in all the fanciest hotels, the most expensive places. And this is true even of like, and they'll do things like, let's say, go to Boston during the Boston Marathon, right? So they go to expensive cities where the hotels are pretty expensive typically, and then they choose, let's say, like the Boston Marathon. Like, why would you schedule your show during the Boston Marathon? Because now the hotels are packed. Now the hotels are way expensive. So everything is has become exponentially more expensive. Why do they do that? Because it's the Boston Marathon and no other organization in the country wants to go there at that weekend. They'll give the SCA like a sweetheart deal, like maybe a lot of it for free, just so they can get that space used. And it's like, so I'm not a fan overall of the Specialty Coffee Association, and despite having been involved with it from throughout my entire career and in many different capacities. Naomi says, last week you were using, I was, but I'm not really trying to use less. I'm just doing it as I feel. Anton's with us. What's going on, man? We haven't seen you in a while. How's the new machine? We've been thinking about you. Naomi says, fellows coming out with a new reveal. I'm sure for sure. I mean, there are a lot of the companies that are geared with this industry will do their releases at the trade shows. Proplan says, I really hope it is not another plastic. Of course, it's always another plastic fantastic box. Keone says, the big coffee expos here. Yeah, I mean, because they want attendees to come. That's kind of how it typically works in most. Yeah. I'm not a fan. Yeah. Anton says, machine is still great. Awesome. Are you getting the results that you were hoping? Because I mean, you've been waiting for this and want it. Kind of just missed the last few streams because of time. Oh, I understand. Yeah, no worries. But we always think about you. Proplan says, as an aside, it seems like the FCC will finally start going after the influencers who don't make it clear that gifted things are in fact sponsored. I don't have to worry about that because none of it is gifted. None of my stuff is gifted. Like I reached out to I reached out to Vivor recently, right? I reached out to Vivor about my other channel. I don't know if I told you this, but I reached out to Vivor because I was thinking I would like to do a video about sanders. And Vivor has this particular gear-driven sander that's similar to the Festool Rotex. And I was like, I wonder, they don't do it. And I just realized they don't have any videos for their grinder on YouTube, but nobody even paying attention to that. So I wrote to them and I said, hey, I've got this channel and I'm interested in this video comparing the gear-driven sanders from Festool and Bosch, and I'd like to include Vivor. Would you consider sending me one? And the retail price of this is like $100, I think. So it's a relatively small expense. But they were like, they looked at the other channel. They're like, what? You do not have enough view. You do not have enough of anything to meet our criteria. So I was like, fine. I mean, I wasn't really expecting it. I figured they'd say no, but I was like, But so everything you see here has been purchased by me. Some of the coffees, of course, have been gifted by friends or maybe people in the industry, but pretty much everything is, or some things. And I think I always mention it, but none of it is sponsored. I don't get any money. It's actually kind of sad. I see Mr. Beast and I'm like, man, how am I not making more at this? Anton says, I'm getting results. Pretty much all espressi I make are decent to good now, and light roast also. Oh, awesome. Okay, so let's go to make some of our. Let's just go and make the drink now. Let's just go make the drink. We're not going to worry about trying to figure out the grind because you know what? Does it really matter? No, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to make a latte. So I've got our latte glass, our latte mug. I'm going to get our latte pitcher, which I'm a little bit concerned about because, like we talked about before, this is a 20-ounce pitcher. So we're going to fill it up to about here, about whatever that is, 10 ounces or so. And the problem with, let's say, this La Valentina, while it's a nice machine, it just doesn't have a tremendous amount of oomph when it comes to steam. And my handicap is that I come from the professional side, right, where I have big long Marzocos to steam, to give me ultimate steaming power, where this has just a little bit of steaming power. Right? So from ultimate steaming power to just a little bit of steaming power. So it's a little bit difficult I think it's more difficult for me in some respects to get nice results out of this machine than someone that had only worked on a machine like this. Because I've always had to adapt, right? Adjust. Okay, so here's our picture. Powerplant says, that is my point. Gifts are considered. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, are gifts, gifts in the point of, like, for example, let's say Keone sends me a gift, or let's say Keone had sent me like a brewer, which has happened here, right? So they send me a brewer, where he sends a brewer, and I acknowledge that, of course, on the show, but it's not a sponsorship. It's just someone giving you something. But where I think when it comes to the sponsorship, the way that I understand it is that let's say Fellow, which this is not the case, but let's say Fellow sent me this as a gift, right? And they sent it to me as a gift because I'm a YouTuber or I'm doing videos on YouTube. Whether it's explicit or implicit, the expectation is that I would probably do a video about it that would talk, hopefully, positively about their product, even if they didn't give any money. That gift I would definitely agree that is sponsorship, because they would, because I could then, if I wanted to, take it and turn around and sell it for a little bit of money, at least maybe put it on marketplace for $100 and somebody takes it. So I think there's a bit of difference there. And I have always been, like, the one area that I've kind of wondered about, because, like I have my own company called Spro. So Spro Tech, I guess in some ways Spro's revenues support what we do, right? But I'm not. I think where a lot of where a lot of people will run into trouble is that they don't disclose any of that. Like, it's, oh yeah, I got this, and it's perfectly awesome. Well, how did you get it? Like, actually, one of the guys I follow on YouTube, who I really like, I like his videos a lot. I meant to send a message yesterday because he came out with a video yesterday where he talks about great tools to use, and I'm like, awesome. And it's a really always very informative. But he talks about this one brand of products that he actually works for. He works for the company, but and everybody knows that he works for this company. Like, anybody that's in the know that knows this guy and knows what he does, they know he's essentially he's the de facto face of the company in the United States, right? So I can just tell you, it's Sedge. This guy Sedge, Brian Sedgley, really great. I love his videos. I think he's a great person. He's really, really enthusiastic what he does, and he runs. He's the host for this show on Fridays called Festool Live, and he's incredibly knowledgeable. But in his most recent video that he released yesterday, he talks about all these tools, and he talks about, like, Festool and why Festool is worth considering, which is, I totally 100% agree. Where me as a YouTuber was a little bit like, oh, he should have disclosed, he should have had a disclaimer, at least in the video, where he says that I do work for Festool, right? I think that would have been the right path. I don't know if people have commented on his video regarding that, but I think that just would clear it up. Because, I can tell you that I think Spro makes, like, so for example, let's say I think Spro makes the best coffee in America, right? But I think that ethically I would have to let you know that, well, it's the best coffee in America, but I'm also the owner. So, and the green buyer and the roaster. So there's a bit of, because I think that's important for people to have enough information to decide whether and how much of what the person that's on YouTube is telling you is, how much of that is true versus how much is, perhaps influenced, right? Like, there's this other guy, Stumpy Nuts, James Hamilton, whose videos always talk about, like, smaller operators of woodworking products to buy stuff. And he released a video not too long ago where he was, like, really, like, hyping up this one company's product. And I was like, And it really kind of crossed over from like information to like, man, it's just kind of like shilling. And yeah, I don't know. Okay, so let's put some milk in here. Milky milk. This is just simple milk. So I don't know if you can see that, but like you can kind of see how far down I am. And it's hard for me to turn it over because, it'll start to, but I like to keep it about here. In general, with every pitcher, whatever pitcher we're using, it's typically, I like to put the milk to about here below the spout. Generally speaking. Now, some pitchers have longer spouts here, so you kind of have to adjust that. But generally speaking, that's what I'll do. And we do size pitchers typically to the drink. So this 20-ounce pitcher, we will only use when making 12-ounce beverages. Whereas if I'm making a cappuccino, right? If I'm making cappuccino, 6-ounce beverage, I will use a 12-ounce pitcher, and then we'll again put fill the milk to about there. And those generally will give you just the right amount. If you do everything correctly, you'll have just the right amount of milk to coffee and fill your cup. And you should have very little waste at the bottom, right? Like that to me, that's an important aspect of, mastering your craft, is that you want to have very little waste. Kenny says, I've been using the Argos almost exclusively because I wanted to get to know the machine. Oh, awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think that's important to, like, if you get a new machine, you gotta use it. Otherwise it becomes very difficult to like I got this, my only point of correlation is back to woodworking, right? So I bought this tool called the Domino from Festool quite a while ago now. And I did everything. For like many, many months using the Domino to connect the joints, because I had to figure out how to learn it. I had to figure out how to use it, right? And I totally hacked my way through a lot of it. Like, a lot of it is just butchered. Like, it's like, oh, that's butchered. But now I'm somewhat competent, But yeah, I totally understand. I totally get it. Power Plant says, in any other form, product placement is considered advertisement, and that is exactly what these companies are doing when they gift the thing. And I totally hear you. Don't get me wrong. I totally hear you. But one of the things that I've always thought was kind of where I've just because I've been thinking about the YouTube thing more over the past couple of years, but like, let's say, like, and in motion picture production, we had a lot of product placement. Like, we would have all kinds of product placement. Like, I mean, like, for example, like Sony was giving, when we were shooting the movie Enemy of the States, Sony was giving us these VX2000, like, handheld, like, digital mini DV cams, right? Just giving it to us to use in the show. And we had all this equipment. And I guess maybe they put some kind of disclosure in the credits, but a lot of the product placement isn't. I feel like in movies, a lot of product placement isn't very well disclosed. I guess they do disclose it to a certain extent, but because I do think that as long as it's somewhere, like, even if they put it in the show notes, I think that's disclosure enough, right? That, of course, most people won't. I think a lot of viewers don't read the show notes. I tend to do, because I like the idea of, like, putting a lot of stuff in the show notes so that people can, like, if we reference things, I like to put links in the show notes so that hopefully if somebody thinks about it, they can look and connect to that. In any other form, product placement isn't considered advertising. Oh, yeah, exactly. If an individual does it, it's completely different than a company. I hear you. Intellectual honesty. I hear you on that. I totally hear you on that. Kenny says it's probably company to content creator, not person to person. Right. That makes sense. But then again, you never know. Like, well, I guess then, like, this is not how it happened, but, like, let's say, like, somebody worked. Let's say somebody they could argue the whole thing, like, oh, the guy that gave me all this Hario stuff works for Hario, but he gave it to me as a person, not as Hario. That's not how this happened, but Marcus says the hotel cost and expo ticket price is nothing compared to the ridiculous airfare prices. A ticket from Charlotte to Houston this weekend. Whoa. Is that on American? Yeah, it's expensive. Like, so for me to go fly from Baltimore to Houston, and Houston is a hub for United, which is my airline, right? Baltimore is also a hub or focus city for Southwest, but I don't fly Southwest. I'm a United guy. So it's nice that the flight's guaranteed to be nonstop. So if I bought my ticket last week, Wednesday, it was going to cost $400. If I bought it last night or yesterday when I was buying my ticket, it was going to cost me $650 because I waited. So instead, I cashed in miles for 30,000 miles, which would have been the same whether I bought it last week or yesterday. So I cashed in 30,000 miles at $11, and that's how I'm getting to Houston. But I hear you, man. It's even at $400, I was like, I don't spend $400 for that, $350 for the hotel, and then $200 for the car, and then $30 a day for the parking. Actually, it's like $40 if you park at the George Brown Convention Center. Maximum rate there. I looked it up yesterday. $40, like $40. What the? That's ridiculous. I'm going to park a few blocks away and just walk in. And then on Saturday and Sunday, then I'm going to park somewhere else and walk. Because I'm cheap, man. I'm cheap. Mom says, do you have any views on using oat milk? Never do it. Never. No, I mean, it's fine. If you like the flavor of oat milk, you should go for it. I'm not a fan of oat milk because I think that oat milk, one of my friends ridicules me for this. My friend Cirillo he's down in Atlanta. He's always like, well, that's where you draw the line? I was like, what's wrong with you? He's a vegetarian, right? Or vegan. He's a vegan. He's one of those two. He doesn't eat meat. And he's always like, because I was telling him, he's like, because we've always had soy at Spro, right? Because that was what people wanted. So we had soy. And then finally, oat milk started coming around. And I was curious. I'm curious about all milks. I'm curious to see how can we make these milks. So sometimes we make our own macadamia milk or almond milks. And then oat milk started to have some interest. So I was like, well, how do we make oat milk? So let's go make oat milk. So I got some Quaker Oats, brought it in. And you do the same thing as we would do with other milks. You take the water, take the oats, put them in water, soak them overnight or soak them however long, and then blend them with some dates, right? Just to get a little bit of sweetness, strain it all together. And man, delicious. Like it was, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Like I was like, oh, this is good. Let's see how it makes a cappuccino. Oh, then disaster. If you ever make oat milk like this way, steep it, slurry it, strain it. Tastes great. I mean, it really does. It really has a nice flavor. The moment you hit it with the steam wand, oh my gosh. I remember I turned it on and it started screaming. Because why? Because it started solidifying. It hydrates. So what happens is that all of the oat particulates are floating in your milk, in the water, right? They're suspended in solution in the water, which is fine until you hit it with heat. And then it absorbs the water and expands and becomes oatmeal. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's oatmeal in my pitcher now. And it becomes completely unusable. So in order for us to have oat milk be a beverage that we can drink hot, it has to be heavily industrialized. Like they use oils. I don't know how they do it, and I never considered it beyond this. And at that moment, I was like, okay, we're not using oat milk because, I mean, it's totally unnatural. Like that's a totally unnatural. Like I could take, let's say, almond flour, mix that into water, hit it with heat to make the milk, and then it'd be perfectly fine, right? But oh man, so that's why I'm not a big fan of oat milk. Paige says, I love Planet Oat, barista lovers, oat milk. Oh, nice. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't be doing it, but I'm just saying this is why I didn't pursue that for Spro's offering. Now, I won't say that we never offered it. Like there was a couple of times when Costco had some oat milk available in, the UHT cartons, and we would sometimes bring that in because sometimes people liked it. But for the most part, we never did. Jenny says, so if a content creator features products like coffee beans, which they get at a discount, is that sponsored content? I mean, if they're so, I don't know. Let's say in my case, right? Let's say like if I get coffee, if I take coffee from Spro, it's at a discount. I mean, it's at a full discount, right? I'm just taking it. I'm just taking it and using it. But I also am open about that I'm taking it and using it, and it's the company that I run. So I think that's fairly apparent to people. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair disclosure for people to know. But if let's say you have a YouTube, let's say a company called me and they're like, hey man, we want to send you some coffee at a discount. Like, I don't know, let's say DAC calls me and they're like, for whatever, they probably won't. I can't imagine they would want to, right? But let's say they call me and they're like, hey, we want you to get some of the Milky Cloud and we'll send it to you for 50% off. That is something you should disclose. Like, there's no reason why you wouldn't disclose that, right? But I'm also a little bit different than probably a number of YouTubers. Like, I've been in the business quite a long time, and people know kind of who I am and what I'm kind of about. Like, that I really don't care. Like, if you don't like me, I'm not really too worried about it. And I'm not too afraid to tell you what I think. Like if I don't like, if I think something is like messed up, I'm not terribly reserved about that in many respects. Which is why I think that a lot of people wouldn't want to send me a product because they're like, well, he might trash us, Like I have a friend of mine in the business, right? So there's a company called Black and White Coffee Roasters that's run by one of my friends, Lem Butler, and his business partner, Kyle Ramage. And these guys were both at different times U.S. Barista champions. They built a nice little business in the Carolinas. And recently, they just sold the company to another company in the Midwest. I don't really understand. But one of my other friends, Joe Morocco, and this is a guy I've known for years, who I totally get along with, totally like. And he's posting about it online, and he's like, hey, so this company, I think that it's the company he works for. It's like our company just bought, I'm saying our, he didn't say our, but I'm just saying that. Like the company just bought Black and White Coffee Roasters, and Kyle is coming with us, but Lem is not coming with us. And it was written about in this coffee website called Sprudge. And the way they worded it was like, Lem is not continuing. And now it's called Black and White because Kyle is white, Lem is black, right? And well, the white guy's going, but the black guy isn't. It's like, makes me wonder, like, what's the deal with that, right? Like, so I point blank asked him, and I said to Joe, I was like, in the post, I was like, in the comments, I was like, well, is it because he's black? Like, what's the deal here, right? And he came back with a relatively formulaic answer. But but what I mean by that is I'm not, even if I've known you for many years, like I'm not afraid to ask you like a hard question about something that I'm kind of like, especially in the tenor of today's world, of today's nation. I was like, huh? Why is the black guy not good? And then, of course, there's like, well, you have to, because they always, in the posting, they're like, we don't know why, you have to kind of ask him. And it's like, why is it always when there's something suspicious happening that you have to ask the person? It's like, why not just come out and say, like, he wanted to retire. He didn't want to hang out. He didn't agree with it, whatever. Then it's done. But now you're like, well, he kind of, you kind of have to ask him. Like, I could call him. I haven't called him because, I'm not that upset. I'm not that concerned. But he's wise enough and old enough to make his own choice. I'm sure he's made enough money that he's very comfortable with it. But I'm just like, what a weird way to put it. What a weird way to put it. Kim says, so a content creator features products like coffee bean. Oh, we already said that. Yeah. Power Plant says, Chris Young is a good example of how to make a product, but then create great content around that tangential use of your product Chris. Oh, Chris Young. He's the guy that has that new thermometer company, right? Because Dave Arnold was talking about him. I think I'm thinking of the right person. I've been very curious about his thermometers. But I've got the ThermalWorks, and the ThermalWorks work for what I do, what I need it for. ThermalWorks works awesome. Like, do I really need to buy another pricey thermometer? I've been debating. Power Plant says for sure that's an ad. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. If it creates an incentive for purchase by consumers, an ad. Yeah, agreed. Paige loves Planet Oat Barista. Oh, I said that already. Hush. It's all right. If you want to drink, it's okay. You can drink oat milk. I'm not telling you not to drink oat milk. I'm just telling you why I don't use oat milk. Why we didn't use oat milk at Spro. And it's a very specific reason. And that's the very specific reason why. Is that I realized that there was no way for us to produce an oat milk without some kind of industrial process happening to it, and that industrial process is beyond my ability to achieve in our shop kitchen, right? So it's beyond my own expert. I mean, I'm not an expert, but it's beyond any kind of expertise I may have regarding food and food science, right? Naomi says I use Khalifa barista style oat milk from my lattes. Oh, nice. Power Plant says the days when I was given this by the company under no obligation review are over. Those are ads, and the FCC is coming for you. Well, what do they want you to disclose? I mean, in YouTube, in the YouTube setups, and if any of you wanted to see this yourself, you could actually see this for yourself by going to your YouTube Studio app, or if you take your channel and you go into your channel whatever settings, and let's say you set up a video, and you can even see it if you click on Go Live, right? You can see that what I see, and basically, if you scroll down on the first screen, there's a thing that talks about product placement and ads. Really, the only thing you have to do is click on that says yes, and that's evidently enough disclosure. I think the disclosure there's a minimum amount of disclosure that has to be given, and I think that is the minimum amount. I don't necessarily because of the way they do things in motion pictures and other venues. I don't know how explicit you have to be in the video itself, but you have to disclose somewhere within the show note or within the YouTube that it is sponsored in some way. But then again, here's the other side of it. United States has been firing so many people from the federal government that will they even have enough people to even go after anyone? Paige says you've got to add stabilizers to oat milk for it to be steamable. Yes. Yeah, because otherwise you have to prevent the milk, the oat particulates from hydrating. Naomi says, I haven't tried that one, Page, but I'll look for it next time. I can buy Khalifa brand in bulk at Costco, so I just do that. Oh, Califia, or I said Khalifa. Power Plant says, sunflower seed milk is the best. You can make it like any nut milk and sweeten it with dates. Steams very well. No additional oil. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I prefer not to have additional oils. It needs additives. Naomi says it needs additives to be stable, usable for hot drinks. Says Naomi, and Paige says it steams the closest to regular milk of any. Oh, okay, the other one. Okay, great. Power Plant says Blue Bottle, Stumptown, and Intelligentsia Verve are all sellouts, but good for them because their founders are balling. Yeah, they all made good money. I mean, I know a couple of them, the owners, and yeah. But the one Stumptown is kind of, I guess, my favorite because I've known Dwayne for many, many years. And you can see Dwayne on one of the videos that we shot 2 years ago in Portland because I went to go hang out with him a little bit at after other ventures and his what do you call it, his exclusivity clause was over. He started his own coffee company again. He has this little coffee company there called Puff Puff Coffee in Portland. And nice. It's nice to go there because you know what? It's like the old school days, like when we were all coming up. Like he's older in the business than we're about the same age, but he's older in the business. Like he started in '99 and I started in 2002. I think he started earlier than that, but we all, but we all come from the same generation of coffee. So it's nice to go to Puff because it's very third wave. It's like very original third wave. Black and White just sold out too. They all sell it. You know what? If somebody offered me, $75 million to sell my company, I'd sell it, no doubt. I'd be happy to sell it to you. Somebody offered me $1 million, I'd be happy to sell it to you. Peter says, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So we're talking about, Oat Milk, which you probably don't like, and companies here being sold. Here, these are all companies based in the United States, especially coffee companies that have been sold by their owners to larger conglomerates, Stumptown, Blue Bottle, what else? Intelligentsia. We're all sold to what's the big holding company in Germany that has Burger King? They bought them, I think, if I remember correctly. Naomi says, I like the milky flavor, more milky than the other ones available in my grocery stores. Gotcha. And Peter says, just remember that all the substitute milks are heavily fortified and a lot of the nutrients are not found, so it's an addict. So it's an addictive. So that's why I don't really like to use all that stuff. I like to do milk. Like, give me milk. I know I'm Asian. I'm supposed to have lactose intolerance, but I don't. I'm perfectly tolerant of lactose. Probably because I grew up here in America. So we got our milk. Okay, let's do this. We need to get our milk. And then now we're going to take our syrups. And I'm going to put some syrup in here. I like to put the syrup first in most flavored lattes. Okay, I think that's good. That looks about a right amount. Maybe about 1.5 ounces. That's about 1 ounce. Maybe let's do a little bit more. Okay, so that's good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull the shot directly onto it so it mixes together. And then we're going to steam and pour the milk. Paige says, is it Yum Brands? I don't know. I don't know, though. I never remember a lot of these details because you know why? It doesn't necessarily affect me. So I don't get too worried about it. Okay, so here we go. We got some coffee in here. And I totally did not tear this out, so we're just not even going to worry about it. Okay, so a little bit heavy on the mound there, so I'm going to just kind of whoosh just a little bit off. That's probably close to 21 now. Actually, let me go back around with it. Get it back in the center. Okay, now we're going to flush. And then we're going to take this spout off so that we have more clearance. And let's flush the fruit while we had a moment. Come in with the cup. Now we're going to start the steaming, but I like to do it all together. So stretch it just a little bit. Okay, that's good. And now we're just going to roll it. This is the part that I feel that there's never enough because it just kind of doesn't roll as well. Okay, that should be good. That sounds about right. Okay, let's go over here. So we've got everything kind of mixed in there. I don't worry about mixing it more than that because it's a relatively, there's too much. This is the problem with this. There's just too much foam. It's too foamy. So I'm going to pour out a little bit into the sink just to try to get rid of the excess foam. And then what we're doing is we're going to pour it and try to get a little bit hard to cause more mixing of the product, even though it's all probably relatively homogenized by now. Yes, too foamy, too foamy. I'm not going to worry about it then. Okay, so there it is. Not so pretty. JAB Holding. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. But I know Nestle. Oh, was Nestle the proper bottle? Okay. Like I said, unfortunately, I'm not very well versed in all of these acquisitions. And Busa says Tim Hortons is coming to Maryland. Oh, do you know where they're putting it? All right, so here it is, our Sakura Latte for April. It's kind of fun. Lightly floral. Actually, that's kind of good. Oh, I like that. Page says the company that bought out Black and White is a Kansas City-based corporate coffee investment firm. That sounds like a terrible thing for the industry. Maybe I put a little bit too much syrup because it's a little bit sweet. I like it to be less sweet. I would like it to be more of a hint of sweetness rather than a forwardness of sweetness. But actually quite pleasant. Like that's quite nice. I'm digging it. Oh, you know what? If this is kind of what it tastes like at the Starbucks, I can see why people like it. Like, I kind of dig it. Like, it's not, rose water, like rose syrup would be very, I don't know, I find rose to be a little bit sharp. This is very pleasant. All right, so if you have access to cherry blossoms, go harvest some, make some syrup. It's super simple. Like, all you need is just petals and some sugar and some water. And you don't even have to heat it if you don't really want to. Like, you could hydrate everything together and just kind of let it sit, just stir it, and it'll work. But the heat does speed things up. So that's kind of why I decided to heat things. Then I was asking, better tasting than rose or lavender? I kind of like it. I like it a lot, actually. I like it quite a bit. Better, I mean, I guess that depends on, your preference. I'm not a big rose water fan. Like a rose water latte is not necessarily my jam. Lavender latte, I dig. But it's different. It's different. This is lighter. It's the florality is lighter. Like, it's a lighter, at least in this format. It's a lighter flavoring than the other two. Then he says, I also enjoy a hint of sweetness, and it's probably yeah, for sure, Starbucks is going to be sweeter, on the sweeter side. I totally agree. Booster says 10 locations total. Seems Howard and Carroll County first. Any idea when they're going to open? And I don't even know if I really think Tim Hortons is great. Oh, I know our Canadian audience may get upset with this, but I don't know if I even think no, I don't know. It's not a thing. I don't even know if I know if Tim Hortons is that great. But of course, never say never. Got to go try the donuts. Mainly because I haven't had Tim Hortons in decades, like since the 90s probably. Powerplant says, I've had the Sakura latte many times here and never. I hear you. There's hardly any flavor, but this one, I think I think where the difference may be here, and I don't know how the other ones do it. We're using for 600 grams of syrup, which I don't know how many that is actually in milliliters. It's probably less, probably 400 milliliters. But for 600 grams in syrup, we're using 15 grams of petals. I don't know what that ratio is, but it's fairly nice. It's pretty. It's a pretty drink. I can see why a lot of people like it. Craig says that Tim Hortons donuts are awful now. That that's the thing. Like here in America, we've had Dunkin' Donuts. When I was younger, all the Dunkin' Donuts made the donuts in-house. And then, like you said, with Tim Hortons, they moved it to a central facility. And it's like, it's just not as good. Like, I just don't enjoy the Dunkin' Donuts as much as I used to. So I totally hear you on that. It's very sad. It's very sad. Peter says non-existent. And Booster says the article doesn't say when. Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. Power Plant says Mr. Donuts is the king of commercial donut shops. Again, another donut shop I really haven't been to. What I really want to find, what I keep seeing in, like, those of you who are in Asia, what I see when I'm in Manila and other places that I just keep thinking, I want to go check it out, but I never do because I'm always eating something else, is Jayco Donuts. There's a place called Jayco Donuts, and I'm like, Jayco Donuts. And I know, and like in Manila, people that I know, they're like, oh yeah, it's good. You should go check it out. And I'm like, do I check out Jayco Donuts or do I go to like have, lechon, roasted pork, crispy roasted pork, or donuts? Donuts I can have in America, crispy roasted pork that is more difficult to get in America. It's usually crispy roasted pork. Peter says, I'm tasting the syrup. I can taste the syrup. I mean, there's definitely, but there is a flavor to the syrup that's different than just the syrup by itself. All right. I guess that's good for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Back again tomorrow with more of the Coffee Q&A here at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. So hope you have a wonderful day out there. I got to do some roasting so I can get a lot of this stuff out before I have to leave later this week. Booster says, next time you go up to 83 towards PA, check out Maple. Oh, I was at Maple recently, last week. Maple is good. But you know what? I'll be honest with you, it's difficult for me to go to Maple because you know what? They're just not in line with my values. Yeah. And those of you who are in America understand what I'm saying. They had a big sign for many, many years. Krispy Kreme, Marcus says, Krispy Kreme is much better than Dunkin'. In my opinion, it's all about the original glaze. I totally agree with you, especially if you get it when it's hot. And if you ever want to do a Krispy Kreme eating competition, here's a key for you. As today's takeaway. This manager of Krispy Kreme told me about 20 years ago. He's like, okay, when you want to do a competition, you take the case, the 12-ounce bottle, the dozen bottles and you stack them and you mash them and then you eat. And then you could go through cases of it that way. I've always been curious to try that technique, but I haven't done it. We used to have a Krispy Kreme next to us at my very, very first business. And man, we had Krispy Kreme all the time. It was ridiculous. It was out of control. Power Plant says, fancy donuts are lost on me. I mean, fancy donut. I went to my friend owns a fancy donut shop. It's called Curiosity Donuts in just north of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We were there last weekend. Nice shop, nice donut, really, really nice quality donuts, right? But it's expensive. Like a dozen was $47. I was like, holy moly. I was like, oh my God. He gave me a discount because we were friends, but I was like, oh my God. I took my cousins and my nephew there, and I was like, oh. It's on me. It's like, oh God. I hear you on that. Give me them trashy donuts, and trashy donuts are always better. All right, Peter, go to sleep. Yeah, Busa. Yeah, unfortunately. All right. So hope you guys have a wonderful day. Back again tomorrow. And see you then.